Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about Iron Maiden's ninth album, Fear of the Dark. And it is another one of those 90s albums. The four 90s albums I probably vibe with the least out of their whole discography, really. And I know this is the strongest of the 90s albums, but it's also one of those that I'm like, man, it's just so many songs. And I think they had a whole bunch of ideas for these songs. It makes a little bit of sense, right? So, of course, Steve Harris famously wanted to go back to an original sound, strip down the synths and all that, atmospheric stuff, and just have a more raw, abrasive tone, just a more in your face kind of like back to basics sound and feel. Now, the last few albums before the 90s, they had about 8 songs on each one. And every one of those was a banger. However, I think they had a lot of trouble recording songs, since it was just 8 songs per album, it felt like, okay, they're all bangers, but also like it is just a smaller CD, smaller list of songs on here, track list. It's just because it's harder to write all of these. They had ideas for these raw, stripped down songs, and then now we just get inundated with these albums with a lot more tracks on them and everything. However, a lot more tracks meant a lot more filler and what felt like a lot more kind of mediocre. And this album's another one where there's some great songs on here, some underrated songs, and then just a lot of what I find to be filler. You might love this album, and that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Please list the songs you like and what your ranking or order is of the Fear of the Dark album. I'm going to start mine off now and just get right into it. But for me, the song I don't like the most, I think there are, 13 tracks on this? 12 tracks. It's a 12-track album. Track number 12 of all the songs I do not like is The Apparition. That song, to me, is just weird. It is like the most filler of all filler songs to me. It's just zero riffage. It's zero, Iron Maiden. It's Bruce. What I think is more of a vocal, like, hey, look at Bruce, look what he can do, look at his new style and everything like that. But it feels like it just was, kind of force fed to the album. Apparition to me is just quite non-starter, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And next we're going to get into, at 11, we have Fear is the Key. That's another one of those that it just feels like a big miss. It feels like just nothing in that song is really Iron Maiden-y. I mean, there's a little bit more, like The Apparition feels like a complete one-off weird song. I think there's another one in here that's going to feel a little like randomly placed as well. But yeah, Fear of the Key to me just is such a strange song. Now, the weird thing about this album, though, is it has more of a flair, more of a tone, more of like a vibe than No Prayer. No Prayer to me just felt so dry and completely out of place. Like this one has at least like this tone that kind of goes through the album. The guitars feel like there's something more alive to them. But yeah, just another song that doesn't really do much for me. The drums on this album also sound very heavy and kind of out of place. And it's not anything that, is wrong with the technique. It's just the recording. The 90s had a really weird recording style for Iron Maiden as well. Fear the Key, just another really big miss. I think after these two, the songs are more listenable, but also, very mood dependent, very strange. Tonally, I'd say. I mean, it was a dark period in Steve's life. I know this decade, and the band was in so much change. So there's obviously some influences of that as well. And you can kind of tell with the lyrics and the the style of song. Really much more on the next 2 albums, of course. Like that was the darkest they've been mentally and mechanically with their songs and everything. But yeah, so we're gonna keep that one here at 11. At number 10, we are going to go with Chains of Misery. This song, as a song, it's like, I'm not super into a lot of the instrumentals or anything, but I don't know. For some reason, Chains of Misery, the lyrics get like kind of stuck in my head and I can't help but chant it every now and then. I quote it kind of often. So just on that alone, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. They've done a good job with that. But it's one of those songs you'll never, I mean, a lot of these you'll never hear live ever again. And if you heard them live ever in the first place, that was because you were watching this tour. And some of these songs I don't think ever even saw the light of day, which is how you could tell songs are kind of filler, is when they weren't even requested live or played live. The funny thing is, like, some of these songs are kind of bangers, but really hated at the same time. So this is such a divisive time period and divisive album. Chains of Misery is one of those songs. I think some people do like it a lot, but I am just not one of those people. Even though I do chant and sing it a lot, which is weird. I hate when that happens. When like there's songs you just don't really like, but they get stuck in your head. So maybe you like them, or maybe it's just a catchy phrase. I don't know. But yeah, Chains of Misery for me is one of those that it oddly sticks around. I'm going to keep it down here, though, just because overall as a song, it just doesn't really do it for me, and there's not really a whole lot to it. Also, you can tell I'm kind of just like going off the top here with these albums. I like to give a very raw, like not super planned out ranking for these, just because like I think the more you think about it, the more you talk yourself out of stuff, and it's just like, where do I feel with this song? Where does this song hit me? You can listen to the albums and then make your judgments off of that, but I like to just kind of go, off the top with these. The next one at number 9 is going to be Childhood's End, which it's a song that's kind of more emotional than people realize, but also it's another one of those just like filler songs that just, they're so indistinguishable for the most part. Like if you put all of the chords and all of the main riffs and stuff together for a lot of the middle songs here, you just, you wouldn't really have any energy or know what's going on. It's just going to be like a little bit of the hook here and there. With this song, it's the same. It's, one of the most just non, standout songs on the album. It doesn't stand out for right reasons or wrong reasons. It just doesn't do anything for me. So it's going to sit here at number 9. As an overall song, I think it's just above the last 3, but also it has no catchy factor. I don't know. Like I say, there might be some people out there that absolutely adore this song. It is just not for me. So number 9, we're going to sit here with Childhood's End. And coming in at number 8, we have the start of the next tier of songs on this list where I find they're pretty decent songs overall, songs I could probably listen to. And it's more than just, it's got this standout performance or this catchy line. But like as an overall song, The Fugitive is not too bad. I think the song itself, there's a few songs like this throughout Iron Maiden's history that they've done better. And, this one just doesn't really do it for me. So it's going to chill here around number 8. And not a lot to say. Again, it's just another one of those middle filler songs that they just threw an Iron Maiden song together. And, they were like, let's run with this one. I think the next several songs after this are kind of the same, but way better as like middle kind of filler songs with, they just stand out a little more to me. But yeah, Fugitive was just another one that, it doesn't really do anything special or crazy, but as an overall song, it at least works as an entire song. So that's why it's sitting around the 8 spot. And then this is a weird one. Coming into the number 7 spot is Weekend Warrior, which I think this song is kind of like a little weird Iron Maiden-y, but, other influences. It's very harsh, very in your face, weird tongue-in-cheek kind of lyrics and stuff, which, the 90s again. But it's kind of a vibe, but people hate this song. Like, this typically makes the worst song on the album, but I don't think it's the worst. I think if we're just, looking at it objectively, it's like a better song than a few of these on this list, but again, to each their own. It's weird because it is a song that is very polarizing. I like it. I think it's all right. It's not one I'm ever going to like, beg to be played or anything like that. But I think for, again, middle filler songs, this is kind of where the list ends for me. It's got 6 songs that are just complete filler and, don't really stand out a ton. Weekend Warrior, however, is like the top tier of that list. And a song, if this album plays, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. Kind of like what Holy Smoke was, but not as fun, not as upbeat for me, not as like vibey. It's more just kind of like, oh, this is the backside of Holy Smoke, and kind of more of an emotion based version of that song, I guess. Because in essence, if you think about it, like, yeah, it's a jokey kind of tongue in cheek song, but like, I just spend my entire week, just dying for the weekend, and then I die on the weekend, and now I start all over again. It's just this endless cycle of like, we work hard so that we can play hard, but we're doing more hard work than we are playing. It's one of those weird things you can kind of get a little deeper into than you probably should. But anyway, that's that number 7 spot for you. And this is kind of where the higher level, the next level, the higher tier songs are on this album. The next few are pretty damn good songs, in my opinion. Afraid to Shoot Strangers is one that probably people are going to think is a little low, but for just the kind of song I like, the kind of Iron Maiden I like, it's a good song. I've seen it live. It's a banger live. It's a banger in the studio. It's just a good song all around. Very different for Iron Maiden also. I think this is kind of like the precursor to what a lot of A Matter of Life and Death was. Just the themes, the tones, the more serious nature of it, and then, the build up. A lot of A Matter of Life and Death has a build up in every song and just this overall pop. And Afraid to Shoot Strangers does that for me too. Very well done, and probably through the 90s, the most comprehensive Iron Maiden song there is, I think. It's very well written and sounds very atmospheric and just puts you in those zones. So I think for me personally, that's got to be one of those songs that really comes together entirely. However, it's another one that I think has just been done better. Iron Maiden has a long catalog of songs, and this type of song they do, I think they've just done better in other places. And that's why that was at my number 6 spot. But coming in at number 5, we have Wasting Love, which I think is kind of a powerhouse of a ballad type song. Iron Maiden doesn't have many, if any others really, that classify as a ballad type song. This one is really heavy, gritty. Bruce's vocals are actually incredible on this. They're very rough and, just gravelly, but man, he delivers a great performance, and the song itself is just really good. I almost fear it's too low on here, but at the same time, there are some other really banger songs on here that I like. This has got to be like, it's up there. It's a great song in general. I think it does a lot well, and I think if you're looking for Iron Maiden, you know how bands change up their sound, and people look at that songs or new album or whatever, and they go, man, this isn't that same thing. This is the kind of song that is like that with Iron Maiden, where people look at it and say, it's not very Iron Maiden-y, so I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, it is that band. It literally is Iron Maiden making this song. If the song is good and you like the song, that's all that should matter. And that's kind of how we are sitting right there. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's a fantastic song to me, and it's sitting well at the 5 spot right there. Now my number 4 is going to be a little controversial for sure. It's a lot of people's favorite. It's a lot of people's favorite on the album and just favorite in general. It is a concert iconic song that they play often, but I think it's just my fatigue with this song is getting in my way. I do love Fear of the Dark, but it is my number 4 just because there's just, I've heard it at every show I've been to. On the album, it kind of drags a little bit in the middle there. The interlude where he just says Fear of the Dark over and over. It feels so long. And it just, like, the intro is so powerful. I love the intro. Like, this is one of my favorite Iron Maiden intros. It's like such a great story, and it just hits you right in the mouth. And the song itself, the riff is great. The solo and everything's awesome. Like, it's a good song all the way through. It's very awesome. Just a little bit that drags, Iron Maiden's famous for, hey, we're getting to this part. We'll just say something over and over again. Brave New World's another one like that. And it's just like, oh my God, great song, but write some more lyrics, please. So anyway, it's a great vocal performance. It's a great instrumental performance all around. Probably the best all around the band has done on the album. I think the next three songs kind of like get me going a little bit. They pump me up a little more, or there's just something different about them. And like I said, I'm trying to keep my fatigue and my bias out of this because I loved this song for so long, but you just get, a little tired of hearing that song on every concert and Iron Maiden's the same way. Like, it's a great song, but it's just so in your face with this band. And it is an awesome way to pump up a crowd. It's an awesome way to chant. It's an awesome song, even to open up an encore. Like, I love the idea of just, it's quiet, and then all of a sudden you just blast this intro. So I don't know. It's a pretty cool song altogether, and one that I know I love, a lot of people love. And really, you got to think, out of 12 songs, 4 is not horrible. And it's a high 4. Like, these next 4 songs are so far above all the other songs in this album. It's not even close. In fact, of all the 90s songs, this might be my number 4 just in general when we're talking about the 90s altogether. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But anyway, on to the next one. And that next one is From Here to Eternity, which this song a lot of people don't like either. I love it. I think it's like the 4th and maybe last entry in the Charlotte the Harlot series. Fact check me for sure, because I'm just, again, talking. I don't know for sure if that was a rumor or if that was a thing or if there's really that many parts or whatever. But either way, it's very full of innuendos. It's a very tongue-in-cheek song. It's Bruce's maybe grittiest performance in the band, and his voice is just, so out there. But I like it. I like the edge of it. I like the tone. I could see people, putting this song way, way lower, and that's fair. That's totally fair. I've always just gravitated towards this song. I don't know why. The solo, I think, is unique and weird, and I think in a very fun way. So that's always been something I like. Plus, it's a short song, so, you just listen to it, you knock it out, you go on to the next one. It's not one that sticks around way, way too long, because nothing worse than a song that you're already kind of on the fence about and then it's there forever. So I just like it. I like that it's in, it's out, and we're good to go. But yeah, love that song. All right, so that was my number 3. Be Quick or Be Dead is my number 2. And this song is a whole nother level, like a whole nother stratosphere. Because let's say the last 2 were very high top tier songs. The 2 before that were pretty good and way higher than everything else. And then the 6 below that were just like not even close. This song and the next song are so far ahead of all of that too. I think these are some of the most complete songs in the 90s, some of the most complete songs they've done as this version, this iteration of the band, this 5-piece. Be Quick or Be Dead just hits you right in the mouth. It's a song I've always wanted to see live. It's a song that is fast. It's fun. It's a great showcase of the way Bruce was singing at the time. It's got a bunch of great like tonal shifts in it as well. It just feels good all the way through. It feels very Iron Maiden. It has that like really rough 90s sound too. That Fear of the Dark tone, that like very guttural, kind of like almost empty back end tone. It feels like there's no atmosphere at all, but it still provides something. But it's really good, and the speed of it is a lot of fun for me as well. I don't know. Be Quick or Be Dead has always been one of my favorites, and so it sits at the number 2 spot just because of the raw power of it. And then, of course, that leaves us with our number 1 song, Judas Be My Guide, which another controversial pick for the number 1 song on this album. People are going to hate that, and that's okay. You are allowed to hate the song or love this song. It's very kind of cheesy-ish, but if we're talking about Iron Maiden, this is the most Iron Maiden sounding song on this album. It sounds very dark and very kind of weird, but also Dave just washes over this with his just absolutely incredible guitar style and playing. You can really feel it. It's such a smooth tone as well. You know, we get a lot of rough tones in the 90s. This one feels a lot more smooth, a little bit of atmosphere in here. You know, Bruce is doing his thing. It's not as, you know, different or jarring as some of his other vocals are in this album. I don't mind the tonal shift, but, you know, some people hated the way he was singing on these albums. I think this is just overall, if you told me this was an 80s song, I would believe it. Like, it's the only one besides maybe Be Quick or Be Dead where I'm like, yeah, this is a song that definitely came out in the 80s. But no, this was overall always one of my favorites, always one I would listen to often growing up. It was one that I really resonated with, and you know, it was not this is the thing. It was not the first song I heard on this album. I heard I heard Wasting Love, Fear of the Dark, Be Quick or Be Dead, Afraid to Shoot Strangers, and From Here to Eternity well before I even thought about listening to Judas Be My Guide. Because nobody ever brought it up. Nobody ever mentioned it. It was never on anybody's radar. And I heard this song, and I was like, man, this is incredible. How is this song not more, you know, popular on this album? And I still don't know. I think it's such a good song all the way through, and it's a lot of fun, you know, to listen to. I kind of want to listen to it right now, even. It's one of those that just kind of brings me, you know, a lot of joy and a lot of memories. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. My number one, and we'll do a little recap, but yeah, please don't be afraid to throw your list in here as well, because I definitely want to see. I think this one is going to be one where we get a lot of variations, a lot of different opinions about it, and I'm interested in seeing what they are. All right, so to wrap this list up, we're gonna go and, as always, just put the final tally at the end, ranking or whatever. Number 12, we have The Apparition. 11, Fear is the Key. 10, Chains of Misery. 9, Childhood's End. We're going to go 8, The Fugitive. 7, Weekend Warrior. Then we got the next basically tier of songs at 6, Afraid to Shoot Strangers. 5, Wasting Love. 4, Fear of the Dark. 3, From Here to Eternity. 2, Be Quick or Be Dead. And 1, Judas Be My Guide. Incredibly wild and controversial list. And just looking at it again, it's like, oh my God, that's really what I came up with. But that is what I came up with, as honestly as possible. And, you know, like I say, please feel free to talk about it. You know, share your list. Tell me if you like the album or don't, or the 90s in general, or whatever. You know, what's your ranking? And, you know, please tell me what you got going on here, live or not live. I want to know what these songs, you know, like I say, there's a few on here that I never will see played, and they won't play again, that I wish I could see live, and a few that I see all the time that I wish, you know, I didn't have to see anymore. So I don't know, a lot of good discussions to be had. Thank you all for watching and hanging out, and as always, please be well, and thank you for literally everything. I appreciate you all more than you know. Have a damn good one, y'all.